Let me show you. We have the work samples here. We have the lesson plans as well. If you were to do this lesson over again, what would you do differently, or what would you do the same? I know you use a lot of visual models. I know you use some concepts that, or some visuals that were showing the kids a comparison between a fourth and a half and a third and a sixth. It seemed like when you were doing the lesson, you were allowing kids time to, give you input.
Right.
But if you were to do this again, what would you change, or what would you keep the same?
Well, I did notice a lot of the students were frustrated with the original visual model that I used, which had to do with only the denominator, But when I was able to also do it for equal numerators with different denominators, it really helped them see how you can compare fractions that way. So I actually learned from the students' frustration that one of the approaches that really helped them understand it better was through visual models for numerators.
And then the hands-on activities, I noticed that you had a few hands-on activities. I noticed that a group of kids were working independently. You were just sort of guiding them.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you would do again?
Yeah, that works really well with the manipulatives, forming fractions and shading it in, and the students working together to understand how to compare or multiply fractions with those manipulatives. So that's a really good exercise for the students to work together.
Now, after watching the video clip of your lesson plan, do you feel it was important to see yourself in action? Do you feel like it's going to guide your future lesson plan? We could talk about pacing. We could talk about what you noticed the kids were doing when you were actually teaching. Do you feel like watching your lesson plan live, playback is something that's going to be useful?
Well, I think it would be more useful actually to watch the students in the video, see how they're accepting the lesson, if they're engaged, if they're frustrated, if they're bored.
Because the thing is, I noticed that your para was walking around and supporting some of the students, but I know that you were busy teaching the lesson.
Yeah.
So I do think what you're saying is valid, because you're focused on providing the whole lesson. That there is missed opportunities with certain groups of kids that may not have gotten as much attention as they needed for that concept.
Sure, that's true.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to be able to see what's going on with the student body.
Now, I know you use MoviMax. I know it provides formative and summative assessment. How is that tool useful for you, or how has it been working as far as checking where the kids are?
Well, it lets me put the students into groups to see how much progress they've made over the year. So, for example, after a semester, I can project to see if they're making enough progress to reach at least one grade level for the year. And if not, I can change my strategy. If they're making more progress than that, maybe I can actually add on to what I'm doing.
You had also mentioned that the standards, you're able to pinpoint on MoviMax exactly the standard, and you're able to pinpoint even after you teach the lesson plan. Once they log into MoviMax for enrichment, you're able to pinpoint whether they met the goal or met the standard and move forward, or if they need, you'll be retaught that concept.
Yeah, we have that. Like in the middle school, I assessed the whole class. They were at 14% proficiency for fractions, and after 3 or 4 months, I reassessed them, and they were at 42%, I think. So I could tell that they were making progress with the lessons, and So that's really good for me to know if my lessons are being effective, because if they're not being effective, then I need to make changes.
Okay. As far as me being here, observing you, observing the lesson, observing the class, is there any other things that, from at least from my point of view, at least from me being the instructional coach, that would support you moving forward, or do you feel like having an instructional coach or just some extra set of eyes would support your delivery in the classroom?
No, I think it's good to be able to bounce things off somebody else.
Mhm.
And usually when you're the teacher,
Yeah.
you don't have anybody to bounce anything off of. So I think that's good just in itself, you know.
Okay. So the evidence as far as the lesson, we have a lot of work samples from the students. I saw some class discussion. I saw some written work. I also saw some evidence. There was a lot of student buy-in, a lot of good responses from the students. How will that evidence, the students responding to your lesson, the students meeting the MoviMax standard, the students getting the exit ticket done, how would that shape your planning moving forward?
Well, if it's effective, then I'll continue to incorporate those strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And I have noticed that this year some of my students, or at least one of them, is actually doing work at home without it being assigned to them, so that they've actually become pretty enthusiastic even out of school. So if I can get that kind of enthusiasm from my students, then I'll definitely keep using those strategies.
Nice. I noticed, well, we noticed from the video clips when we watched them together, that the instructional strategies you were using, think, pair, share, modeling, visual modeling, and then obviously the guided practice throughout your delivery, it seemed like it was effective. Do you feel like you got the results out of the kids that you were expecting? As far as meeting their objectives,
Yeah, I think if you're consistent in that approach that you were just discussing, then as they get used to operating that way, that they expect to work that way, and then it becomes a habit for them.
Yeah.
And since those are good habits, then you can see that they're making progress.
Makes sense. What I'm hearing from you is that you appreciated the time that we spent reflecting. I'm guessing you appreciated some of the feedback. What practical strategies or what things do you feel like if you were to need more from me as the instructional coach, what areas do you think I need to give you more out of me, I guess? If you were to say, you know what, you came in, you observed me, you gave me some feedback, but do you feel like what areas or what weaknesses do you feel like I need to improve on as an instructional coach?
I can't really think of anything. It seems like you did a pretty good job.
Did you feel, threatened or judged, I guess, throughout our conversation, or
I felt pretty comfortable.
We've been talking for a few weeks now. One thing that I've noticed is that you ensure that all the students' needs are always met. You obviously take the coaching sessions seriously.
Not yet.